Here we go again, riders. What are the top 10 trail electric mountain bikes for 2023? Riders, welcome back to Sam's Bikes, where you know we only talk e-bikes, and today we are looking at the top 10 trail electric mountain bikes voted by me. They might be different to you, and I do this video every 6 months, and the list is always changing because the market is evolving so quickly. But first, what is a trail electric mountain bike in 2023? Well, for me, I consider anything with 155 mils of travel or less a trail electric mountain bike. And I also have a new term, I might copyright it. I call it a trailduro. Now for me, a trailduro is anything with 155 mils of travel or less and a slack head tube angle of 63 or 64. Something like a Levo Gen 3, which is 63.5, 64.5, and 65.5. For me, these trailduros feel a little bit more like an enduro bike, and they're a bit more versatile in my opinion. And riders, please remember, this is my list. These are the bikes I would buy today. It might change tomorrow because there seems to be so many good electric mountain bikes entering the market. If you like another bike, put it in the comments. And obviously, if we get enough of the same bike in the comments, I'm gonna have to think about it and look about that bike for the next list. And legend riders, if you like the idea of getting weekly electric mountain bikes features and reviews, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. It really does mean a lot, and it does help out the channel with those algorithms. And I imagine if you're watching this video, you're probably researching buying your new electric mountain bike for 2023. Well, the best place for you to go and do more research is samsbikes.net, the best electric mountain bike finder on the internet. We have a bike finder, a pro bike compare, a list of all the bikes. You can compare all the models and you can put them next to each other, see the weight, see the price, see pretty much everything about those bikes to help you decide. And new for samsbikes.net is the affiliated link page. Now you get to the affiliated link page on the home page, bottom left corner. Click on that, and as you would think, anything on this page is affiliated marketing, so we do receive a commission if you buy anything through these links. And riders, if you buy a bike through these links, then we will send you out a Sam's Bikes t-shirt just to say thanks, and we appreciate you supporting the channel because it does all help out. And now riders, on to the top 10 electric trail mountain bikes for 2023. Number 1, Specialized Levo Gen 3. And if you're a fan of the channel, you would know over the last year I've been riding the S-Works Gen 3, done my long-term review on that bike. You can click on the link up here and check that out. I absolutely love the Gen 3. It's an absolute beast of a trail electric mountain bike. We are rolling on mullets, so 29 at the front, 27 at the back. This is definitely a trailduro because it's got the 6-way geometry changes. So we can go 63.5, 64.5, and 65.5. Also go long and short on the chainstays. Really versatile bike, got 700 watt-hour battery. We've also got the Bros Mag S with the 90 Newton meters, and the Levo Gen 3 in the aluminium is starting at 5,500 euros. Number 2, the Giant Trance E Plus, another one of my long-term test bikes. And let me tell you riders, this bike is a little dart. We've got 150, 140 of automatic suspension, rolling on 29er wheels, a whopping 800 watt-hour battery in the limited edition model, and a Sync Drive Pro motor with 85 Newton meters. I've had a fantastic time on this trail bike. I kind of thought I would be more a rain rider, but when I got on the Trance, it's just such a fun bike. And the long chainstays, which are pretty long, but I actually found it like I could bank corners and just have a lot of fun on this bike. And it is my go-to trail bike at the moment, because when my other friends are out on enduro bike, big sleds, I love to try and bring my A game and keep up with them on the trail bike. If you want to check out the long-term review, you can click up here. And the Giant Trance E Plus is starting at a very impressive price at 4,800 euros. And number 3, the Trek Rail. And also, I've been lucky enough to do a couple of 100 Ks on the Trek Rail last year. Thanks Iago for lending it to me, absolute legend. The Trek Rail is rolling on 29 wheels. It's got 160, 150 of suspension, Bosch Gen 4 motor with a 750 watt-hour battery in the top models, or the other models with a 625 and 500. It is a really nice trail bike. I had a lot of fun on it. Super fast, stable bike. And riders, a bit of a pro tip out there. If you are looking at the Trek Rail, please make sure you check out the models and the geometry, because the Trek Rail, it's a bit confusing, has two different frame sizes. So they have the old Trek Rail, which is still on sale with different geometries. And then they've got the new top model Trek Rail, which is a completely new frame. And it's about 20 mil longer in reach on every size. So definitely check out those sizing. And the Trek Rail is starting at a very impressive 4,800 euros. And before we crack on to the fourth bike, let's give a little bit of love to the major sponsor at Sands Bikes, Quad Lock. I've been using Quad Lock for the last 6 months. Absolutely loved Quad Lock. I use it when I'm sleeping. I charge it with the wireless charger via my bed. I use it by my computer when I'm editing all the videos. I use it in my camper van when I'm driving to the trails. And of course, I use it on all my electric mountain bikes when I'm out doing the riding and shooting. Absolutely love having Quad Lock on my bike. I can answer phone calls. I can listen to music. I can record my rides through Strava. It is really next level and I absolutely love it. And riders, we are offering a 10% discount code in the show notes for all the legend riders, so check out Quad Lock. And number 4, the Canyon Spectral On. The Spectral On was released about 6 months ago. I wasn't expecting this as a release because the old Spectral wasn't that old, but the new one looks really, really good. The Spectral On is rolling on mullet wheels, so 29 at the front and 27.5 at the back. It's also got 155 suspension in the rear and 150 at the front. For me, this bike is screaming to put a 160 on the front, and that's a very easy fix. It's got a Shimano EP8 and a 720 watt hour, or a whopping 900. I love that Canyon have gone ahead and made their own batteries with the Shimano EP8, the 720 and 900, because one of the major things that let me down with the Shimano EP8 and the 630 was the range, but now that's been fixed, and the Canyon Spectral On is starting at a very respectable 4,800 euros. Number 5, the Santa Cruz Heckler. The Heckler had a little bit of a hard start to its life. The battery started falling out a little bit, but don't worry riders, Santa Cruz fixed that out very rapidly, and it does look like a sensational bike. And I have to be 100% honest, the first Heckler, I wasn't a big fan of. I did do a quick test ride of it. I think Santa Cruz probably rushed that bike out. Wasn't a massive fan. It didn't have that je ne sais quoi that Santa Cruz have with their bikes, but the new Heckler, wow, it looks amazing. The Heckler is available in 2 options, a 29er or a mullet, but I think the mullet is my pick. So that's rolling on 29 wheels. We got 160 and 150 of that VPP suspension at the back. We've got a Shimano EP8 and Santa Cruz own 720 watt hour battery. The Heckler is not a cheap bike, starting at, I believe, 8,000 to 9,000 euros. And number 6, the Husqvarna MC6. I am a massive fan of the new Husky. I love the look of the frame. I love those parallel lines on the frame. And also, it's kind of like the motor is on display. They're not trying to hide it's an e-bike. I think it is a fantastic looking bike. The MC6 is rolling on mullets, 150 of suspension up front and 150 in the rear, Shimano EP8 and a 720 watt hour battery. It's starting at 5,200 euros. The Husky MC6 is still a prototype, I believe. I think we're going to be able to start to order it, or we're going to see it available from early next year. As I said, I love the look of this bike. It is screaming out to have 160 put on the front because it is 65.5 head tube angle, I believe. Be nice to slacken that out a little bit. And you know what, riders? You know I love doing my dream builds. I'd love to do a dream build on this bike because I just love the look of the frame. Number 7, the Simplon Rapcon PMAX CX. Wow, what a mouthful. The Simplon, just take my money. What a beautiful looking bike. Rolling on 29 wheels, and you also can put a 27.5 in the rear if you fancy. We've got 150 of suspension front and rear, but something I'm not 100% sure about, they do 170 160 version in Enduro, and I believe it might be the same frame and you change the suspension. And if that's the case, that is a really versatile bike. And riders, if you know, can you just put a comment in the show notes to let us know, because I'd really like to know that, because it would be a really versatile bike. Rocking the Bosch Gen 4 motor with a 750 watt-hour battery as stock, but if you'd like to go a little bit lighter, you can configure it with a 500 or a 625 to make the bike lighter. Starting at, I believe, 9,000 euros, and you can do a lot of configuration on the website, so definitely check it out, riders. Number 8, the Mondraker Crafty XR. I also had the pleasure of testing this bike about 9 months ago, link in the show notes, and what a rocket ship. Rolling on 29 wheels, 170, 150 suspension, a 64.5 head tube angle. So the XR for me is definitely a trailduro, and I felt really confident on this bike riding on enduro / downhill trails. The Crafty XR has a Bosch Gen 4 motor, a 750 watt-hour battery, and riders, if you like a bit of Öhlins spec suspension, I loved it. It was awesome. Check out the Öhlins builds. They look epic. And the Crafty XR is starting at around 5,000 to 6,000 euros. And number 9, the Rocky Mountain Instinct Powerplay. The Instinct is the most powerful electric mountain bike in this top 10 list, with a whopping 108 Newton meters of power, and it's Rocky Mountain's own motor, which I think is really impressive and quite gutsy to have a crack at making your own system. Rocky Mountain's not the biggest brand, but what they've done looks really impressive. Rolling on 29 wheels, we've got 150 suspension up front and 140 in the rear. We've got a 720 watt-hour battery. Have to be honest, in Spain, we really don't see many Rocky Mountains, but when I did the poll on what bikes were the favorite bikes for all the riders out there, Rocky Mountain got voted quite a few times, and I've actually seen quite a few out on the trails in Australia in the last couple of days. And I'm going to reach out to the local bike shops here and see if I can test one. I really would love to understand their powerful motor and how it really does deliver that power. So let's see if we can do that. And the Instinct is starting from, I believe, 5,500 euros. And lucky last, number 10, the Cube Stereo 140. The 140 has to be the best value electric mountain bike in this list. Check out this spec for 4,400 euros. You're getting carbon mainframe, you got 150, 140 suspension, Bosch Gen 4, and a 625 watt-hour battery. That is sensational value. And again, in the list of bikes that you all voted for, the Cube 140 and 160 got voted in there quite a bit. It was in the top 20, so it had to make the list. And a lot of people do talk about Cube. It is a very popular bike, I believe, for the value. And next year, I would love to get on a Cube and see what they're all about. So there you go, riders. That is my top 10 trail electric mountain bikes for 2023. But more importantly, riders, let me know in the comments what I missed off the list, what's your favorite electric mountain bike, what you're thinking of buying, and what you want me to possibly test, and I'll definitely check it out. And you know it, riders, if you haven't subscribed to Sam's Bikes, please do so. Share it with like-minded people. It really does mean a lot. And stay safe out there this weekend riding, and we're going to see you next week.